Am I disappointed he's not out there against Sydney this week? Yeah, I am, but I don't think he's physically right to do so. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Eddie and Jimmy. And, mate, what about this? We've apparently been on 3 years, and now we've got our own microphone socks.
We got new toys, Ed.
Welcome, Jimmy. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Congratulations to Tap Media, who've just been with us for a week, and there you go. They've tapped in.
They look nice.
They do.
Look nice. We got some merch.
Not mad on the colour, I must admit.
What colour do you want?
No, well, blue's not my colour, mate.
Well, what's wrong with blue and white?
Well, it's Carlton for a start. This is a bit North Melbourne as well, but it's also Glasgow Rangers, and it's also the team up north in college football, Michigan. So I have an aversion to blue in football teams.
So what would you prefer, black and white and
well, the colours of McGuire Media, Jam TV, is black and white and green, which is a nice combination of Glasgow Celtic and Collingwood, of course. You probably put a bit of red in there for the mighty Ohio State Buckeyes, which also fits in nicely with KFC and Emirates for Collingwood as well, doesn't it? So there you go. Round 9.
Wharfie time.
We're starting to get into, it's also getting into blue-collar time of the season.
Yeah, winter.
Winter.
Game of Thrones. Winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
Yeah.
And you sort a few out in winter. Wharfie time. You want to talk about that first of all?
Yeah. Obviously, the big thing came up on the scoreboard there over at Optus Stadium, and Wharfie time, and all the fans go bonkers, and I love it. There's a genuine belief in this Fremantle side that it could go really deep. They made the finals last year, lost a home final to the Gold Coast Suns, but maybe that's the battle scar.
So explain Wharfie time to me, as if I've never heard of it before.
I think they're leaning into, because the Fremantle docker, you're using the Wharfie.
No, but I mean, what time of the game?
Oh, when they need it. Deep in the last quarter or halfway through.
See, that's why I want to question this, because in my experience with Wharfie time, they'll have all knocked off and been at the pub late in the game. It's been a 9-day fortnight for a long time at Wharfie time, if you're lucky.
Yeah,
I love it. I love
it's trying to let's get blue collar.
But I love the organic nature of the whole thing. And as you know, if I had my way, opening round would have the Battle of the Wharfies.
Yeah, against
Port Adelaide. Wouldn't that be something?
They were good. They stood up. I thought that was a fantastic game. Of course, Hawthorn didn't lose any admirers. No. They lost Brass early. I think Hawthorn are still trying to work out who the big guys are on the forward line. I think Mitchell Lewis is showing plenty this year, playing as a higher forward, plenty of marks. But, when Chol comes back, is it him? Is it Kel Shadir? Are they going to bring in a young kid who's showed some signs? They played in Schubert. They played Ramsden, of course, who on the weekend took a couple of nice marks. But when you've got him and Meek, and then also Reeves as well, are you a bit too tall? So I think they're still trying to work out what they look like forward of the footy, which round 9 is a good time to still try and work it out.
Back in the day, when you used to do your tips, back on a Saturday, 2 o'clock, 6 games, 12 teams in the VFL, you took into account things like hard games the week before.
Yeah. Or
if they played on a Tuesday night in the, whatever the cup was out at Waverley. You're not allowed to mention cigarette brands, so I can't say what it was, okay? And we probably don't do that these days, because a lot of times we're making our tips before the teams even come out, and games are played everywhere. But I did think, I tipped Collingwood last week because I just tipped Collingwood, okay? But I was a bit worried because, one, I think Geelong's a very good side. But similarly, let me describe my thoughts here in relation to Hawthorn. The draw against the Pies the week before was as taxing a game as you'll ever have. They both went up and down, and then it was a draw right at the end and the likes. They then had to travel to Perth, and Fremantle are sitting there waiting, because they're a good side, Fremantle.
They are.
And I think they got them at the right time. And I just wonder whether or not both Collingwood and Hawthorn were just that slightly, well, Collingwood were hanging in with Geelong, and then when the moment came to go, Geelong went.
Yep.
And dominated and kicked those 4 or 5 goals, and that was the end of the game. So it's an interesting time. I call it the biorhythms of teams in a season. That's why that game, the draw, they both took 2 points, which is something, but it's going to be that was a vital 2 points, I think, because especially for Collingwood. Collingwood had to win, I think, one of those 2 games against Hawthorn. Geelong come against Sydney in Sydney this week. It's going to be a tough assignment for them. And then, of course, hopefully, touch wood, Pendles has his record-breaking game against West Coast, and then everyone can concentrate on the season.
Where do you think Collingwood are at? You know Collingwood better than most.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. They are average, as in they actually, all their numbers say they're average. I'm not calling them, we often refer to as average as actually poor.
Yeah, average is...
Yeah, they're 4 wins, 4 losses, a draw. Their percentage is, I think, 99.9. Their for and against is nearly exactly the same. They're in the middle of that. So
which would put them in 9th position at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I reckon plus or minus a couple of spots, you're pretty much on it.
Yeah. So
I think on Collingwood on its best day, with its best players, with the coach on fire, can beat anyone, or at least compete with anyone, as we've seen in recent times. A couple of degrees off, a couple of injuries, more comes off on Saturday night. A couple of those things don't quite work. The forward line misses goals. That's where the Collingwood has to take its opportunities when they come, because they're not a high-scoring team. So when you get it in and you get shots at goal, you have to kick them. And it was the Dacoses and even Geordie DeGoey was very good early on, but he missed a couple of shots at goal that, they're the difference between winning and losing. But, I reckon that's where the Pies are at the moment. But it's something that they can build on. And I don't think... I think Hawthorn are a very good side and they got a draw. I think Geelong are an excellent side. So the two teams that got hold of Collingwood this year have been Brisbane and Geelong, last year's grand finalists. And I think Fly might have actually mentioned that in one of his press conferences, that, they were good enough to sort of be there for a while, but then the top shelf are just a bit too good for them at the moment.
Yep.
Well, in both cases, they've been 7 goals too good, 8 goals too good, 10 goals too good. So there's a bit of work to be done for the Pies to win the flag, that is.
Yeah,
but I think we can have a good season.
Well, you know what
nevertheless,
the immediate reaction is they'll look at their age profile and where they go to from here. That's the immediate reaction, that people like to link the two up together.
Well, yeah, it is. And Geelong have had that question put to them
forever,
for a fair while.
Yep.
So there's 2 ways of doing it. Do you go the hard rebuild like Richmond, North Melbourne, Essendon, largely now, or do you try and defy gravity? And then there's the third group that have either timed their run, and that can be a bit more luck as much as anything else, or you've timed it and planned it and used everything at your disposal. And that's why teams scream about the academies. It's not so much that they're there, it's what it does in your planning that is the key. So if you know you've got somebody in 2 years' time who's a 6'5" centre-half forward, you can look for the person who's the centre-half back or the midfielder or whatever the case may be. Now, that's just a statement of fact. That's not barracking for one side or the other. And that's where I think, you saw on the weekend, one of the great benefactors in New South Wales came out and said, I'm not going to throw my money into supporting the academies if the AFL are going to dud us. Now, I've been hearing that one for the best part of 25 years now. We need to sit down. That's why you have an independent commission, but you need to have an independent commission who actually know what they're talking about in this situation, because that independent commission has watched everything happen to get us to this stage.
There needs to be, and I've had discussions with a couple of people, but there needs a broader review of our pathway program.
Totally.
And that's just not like the academies. The academies are included in it. The northern states are included in it. Well, New South Wales and Queensland, but it actually needs a broader review from Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia.
Well, Western Australia coming out, they want academies now. We had the story last Tuesday on Footy Classified. Wasn't picked up anywhere. I couldn't believe it wasn't picked up. People must have been snoozing, because this is a seismic change. So what it is Fremantle and West Coast Eagles want to have an academy. Now they're getting fight back from the Waffle, who see this as circumventing the Waffle scenario. Now, it's a really good intellectual discussion, and we need to have more of these rather than lobbying and leaking to journos who just want a headline. And if you don't support the northern states, then you're against football. I saw a ridiculous situation where somebody came out recently and said, we'll stop promoting the game if that's the case. No, you exist to promote the game. That's the reason you are there, all of us.
Yeah. So
every team, to quote Bomber Thompson, all of you.
Yeah.
All of you.
So part of a broader review is you don't need a blanket approach for everywhere.
No.
You need a nuanced approach for different areas. I argue the rules are regarding anti-density is not setting up players as what they used to. An anti-density rule for people who aren't aware is if you go watch the Talent League, 2 guys have to be inside 50 at every stoppage. So when you bring a young player into the game, in particular a key position player, well, he's got no idea what's going on. And those key position players who are high at the top end of the draft, we want them to have impact. Well, they've got to now spend 2 or 3 years. One, they're going against 10-year seasoned veterans, but they're not used to the conditions they're playing. We're talking about, do we have enough talent to actually fulfill a new team in Tassie plus a 20th team? And this is why I'm going back to review.
Yep.
What role do we actually want the school systems to play? And that's just not here in Victoria.
And I had this argument, I reckon, for 20 years, where you had the under-18s, which is a good competition, but you have to actually just read the play. If the school competitions, and particularly the APS, have decided to have a go. Now, the ACC, which was the Associated Catholic Colleges.
Which I was part of as a kid as well.
Me too. Yeah. And that was a gun competition. And that's dropped off a bit because you've got...
Well, so that's actually, I don't mean to contribute, that's starting to pick up now.
That's what I was getting to.
Because, so we've got here in Victoria, APS, AGS and APS. They're all now in the running for talent. It's not just an APS thing. Where does, the Sandy Dragons, where do the regional teams like Geelong and Rebels, Murray Bushrangers and things like that? But the same thing's happening in South Australia and WA because they've got big private schools as well.
And that's exactly Hale School, etc. So they
missed the opportunity during COVID.
Yep.
What do we want these metro and country and South Australia state things? What do we want this AIS stuff? There seems
not to mention in Western Australia, and as you said, it can't be just one size fits all because you've got a huge Indigenous population over there that hasn't recovered out of COVID.
Yeah, so and you're 100% right with that. So we've also got with Talent League, Pathways and Colts, like the coaches are also asked to be game development and things like that, and we're not paying them enough. But also a lot of them are aspirational to be at AFL clubs, and you go and watch a number of games. The basic skill fundamentals, they actually don't have time to teach core fundamentals because they've got to just get kids in, and they're under direction from 3 or 4 clubs going, can you play Ed McGuire half back? And then another club's going, can you play him at half forward? Can you see it in AFL?
And the coach is there who wants to win because he wants to be a winning coach so he can get a job as an assistant coach.
I'm not putting any blame on him.
But that's the point, though, is... Everything seems to be at cross purposes in football at the moment, and decisions are made to placate. Yeah. So my point, I understand. The guy the other day came out. His name has just slipped me. I'll get it for you in a second because he's a wonderful benefactor. Yeah. Right. So this guy is a fantastic. Can we look it up? The benefactor of New South Wales. I was still in the Age on Saturday. A wonderful contribution to the game and should be celebrated and should be listened to. Okay. But what we need to do is, again, the game is big enough to pay its own way. So we've got to get back to what are we actually trying to do while we've got all this television money. Who knows what happens in the future? But I think it has always been about placating and also looking at the ladder and making decisions.
So one of those.
Paul Moore.
I know Paul.
So
I know Paul.
Paul Moore's, but
he's done an incredible job.
Paul Moore they should have a statue to Paul Moore.
Yeah, and one of the frustrations that Paul and others who have so kindly donated their own money to developing the game, and we're using New South Wales, of course, for Paul, is their frustration comes from the fact that they started to feel like that their money was making up the shortfall where the money should have been. So what they'd rather, the money's supposed to be on top of to accelerate the program, not saying just use really basic numbers. If it costs $1 million to run development pathways in New South Wales, their frustration, and it's just, I'm not blame again, is that the AFL will go, we'll just take $1 million off because Paul will make up the gap.
Instead of going, right,
well, that's $1 million on
top. Here's the turbocharge.
To really accelerate the game.
Totally. So you can understand. So let me just put that back another way. Yeah. So this is where everyone loses their mind. So I hear Paul, and I agree totally with him. So if you're Collingwood, okay, for example, I know this because I know the figures, and you're getting paid $11 million dividend every year, and everyone else is getting paid 25, and you're filling the stands and doing anything else. You're going, yeah, we do this every year. Every single year of our existence, we have supplemented everything, okay? And that's where people start getting annoyed. So back to your point, it does need, I really think the AFL should have a absolute deep down review as to the money coming in and where it's being spent, okay? A few governments need to do the same thing, okay, and actually say, righto, the F in AFL is actually football. Let's focus on that, right? And then everything else, you can still do all the social issues, and I'm all for that as well. But I just think it's gone too far. Country football, local football, the pathway programs, the fact that we're actually going into another sort of civil war possibly in Western Australia between the two big clubs and the waffle maybe, and there's only that much difference in where the philosophy is, but it's like anything in life. If you're in charge of an AFL club, you'll do anything to win. That's the name of the game. If you're running the rest of it, you should be doing anything to make sure that we put together an amazing corpus of players that can be drafted. But also, I think we have to be very careful that we don't start funneling these kids in too early. They've got to enjoy footy, play with their mates, get all the things. And if you miss out, be able to go back to your old club.
And that's a great point you make, because it was on the list of things I was going to raise when we started this discussion, is your top 20 kids or whatever, they're always going to make it because they're talented, they're driven, and they're naturally motivated, and they're exceptional. But you and I are talking about, say, from pick 30 onwards down to 1,500 who are in that age bracket, and this whole jumping around. So my concern is, and it's not necessarily at the top level, which you touched on as well, is the grounding that you get from the age of, let's just say, 10 to 19. I'm just grabbing that, is you could be in a school program, you can be at a local club, you can be in a talent pathway program, but you actually don't really get connected with any of them. Like my greatest feeling in my life is when I drive past Bell Park Football Club, because it's home. And on the weekend, on Friday, I spent a bit of time down at Warragul Football Club, and you want always that to be your home. We talk about it all the time. So where does this all fit? And it's a good opportunity just to sit back and review and go, what do we actually want the role of your local club, the schools, the talent pathways? Because you don't want kids getting to the age of 19, 20 and going, who've sort of been on the edge, going, well, I didn't really make it at Oakley Chargers, but because I've been in that program, I haven't really built a connection back at, just picking a couple up there in their catchment, Paran. And then I played my school footy for one of the schools, whether it be state or private school. And I'm sort of done at 20. Now, just by sheer weight of numbers, we're going to be fine, because AFLs can be too big to fail, but we can do things better.
But I agree with you on that as well. But, you look at, you talk about you love going past your old ground. I go past mine at Broadmeadows, and it's a rugby league ground now. They've taken over Seabrook Reserve, and Melbourne Storm are out there. And I can't go and watch my old team because it doesn't exist, and nor does the league in the fastest growing corridor in Australia. So that's what worries me. But, I think your point is 100% right in that the private schools are doing a really good job, right? You work at Caulfield Grammar, Lloydie and Pendlebury down at Haileybury, all the schools. The build-up now for the Cordner Cup between Scotch and Melbourne Grammar is enormous. I tried to actually get that to be played at Collingwood of a night time at the Olympic Park Centre down there, the old Lexus Centre, and televise it to the world and make it a big thing. At the time, the Scotch College headmaster thought, no, we don't want to make too big a deal of it. And I said, history would suggest this was the first ever game in proximity. You could really turn these things into big things. I came through in the days when the Herald Shield was massive, right, because it was played before the Tuesday night cigarette cup, and it was unbelievable. My school, CBC St Kilda, with Simon Meehan, who was playing back in those days, and a great bunch of guys. They won it in 1979 on the same night that Collingwood beat Hawthorn to win the cigarette cup. So that was one of the biggest nights of my life. I just think we need to get into it. I just think at times we're taking an Australian Tax Office approach to everything. There's just too much We need to get a bit of magic, a bit of fun back into it.
I've been thinking about it for a bit, and and we always talk about, do we have enough talent to support a 2010? We can, if we get the underneath.
So can I just on that? I had a discussion with the AFL recently, just a discussion, wasn't lobbying or anything else. And I sort of said to him, because sometimes when you're heading down a particular road, it's good sometimes to go that way, turn left at Albuquerque, as Bugs Bunny used to say. And I said to these senior people, I said, all right, with all the stuff with Tassie, again, are we better just holding them for another year, get the draft fixed up and some of the teams at the bottom, particularly West Coast, Richmond, Carlton and Essendon, right? So pretty important teams. We don't want them down the bottom for another 20 years. But if we do that, are we better just pulling the Band-Aid right off and whacking in the 20th team? And just go, righto, we're going to have 2 years or 3 years of building these other teams in, but do it in one go. Because staggering the approach has its absolute positives, but it also drags it on a long time.
Well, you know the answer why they won't do that. They'll keep it until after this TV broadcast deal, because then you're going to sell the extra game.
But you're selling them anyway. I mean,
no, but it's something for the AFL to have to increase their TV rights.
Yeah, but you can still do that. Yeah. There's ways of doing it.
Yeah, but
when the NFL come to town, sit down with Roger Goodell, who over the weekend has he's done another great deal. There's a really good story in Vanity Fair if you want to see where it's all going. You know, this hasn't got any traction here yet, but I'll make the announcement, and that is Netflix will be broadcasting the game from the MCG. Now, what does that mean to us? It means we might get some ripping entertainment in there, because Netflix, what they do is they do Christmas Day, and their entertainment makes the Super Bowl pale a little bit, but it is unbelievable. But what they're doing is Roger Goodell has opened this up. Now, the thinking here is, it's going to be great. We'll all go and watch it, and that'll be good. He's thinking, no, that's another round of football I've got in there. The international matches will get picked up by Netflix. So my point to you is, when you say that, is if you're going to put extra games in, you can sell them at a time.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying that they'll be looking at going, well, if we can hold the team back until the new broadcast deal, we go.
I'd like to have it bedded and going before I turn up, because I don't know too many Australian media organisations who want to punt on whether or not it's going to be any good. I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want 15-goal disasters and more games that mean nothing. That's what they absolutely don't want.
Games of consequence is the catch line.
It is. So I'd be getting those games of consequences, getting the fixture sorted. And I don't think they've quite got to that position yet.
And review the pathways.
Well,
a proper review.
Well, if you're going to have more teams, you need more pathways.
Yeah.
So I would I'd be going right to that. I'd be doing the same with the women.
And be willing to make some bold decisions. Yeah. And it can be nuanced as well. It doesn't have to be one size fits all for everybody across Australia.
And did you notice Gray Nichols have bought Sharon?
I didn't notice.
Yeah, Gray Nichols, which means maybe we get some balls that actually made properly.
They might put a scoop in the football.
Well, hopefully just get a ball that
the Grey Nick
doesn't break your foot when you kick it at one end.
The Grey Nick was the absolute kit bag essential for cricket, under 12s and 14s.
The scoop. I remember one of my mates turned up with a scoop. Oh, jeez.
And then the double scoop.
Oh, the double scoop came out, yeah. What were you? Were you a Grey Nichols?
No, I was originally a Kookaburra man, and then I had a
St Peter was big back in the Stuart Surridge, SS.
The SS, and then they had the SS Jumbo, which Graham Gooch had, which was a 3-pound 3 bat, which was super heavy.
Yep.
And then there was Duncan Fernley, but I was actually I was Kookaburra, but then I became a Slazenger. The V600, which Richie Richardson had with the green stickers, and that was an absolute tennis racket. Yeah. You just doing.
Yeah.
And away it went.
Yeah, fantastic.
Just lean on
anyway,
it.
Well done. So Grey Nichols have and produced locally too, which is good. So let's get the Sharon actually looking like a football again.
Yeah, or
behaving like one.
Can you send some cricket gear to Eddie and Jimmy for me?
Well, for you,
and my boys. They've become cricket mad.
Have they?
Yes.
I might have to go home and have a look at what's left over from Xander and Joe. They were mad on their cricket. They loved it. Righto, let's get back into. We've sort of gone off teast.
Yes.
Which was a good discussion though, because maybe we need to focus our mind on that one at some stage. Come back on game development.
Yep.
Kozzie Pickett's bump is on tonight. So by the time most people see this, it's been done and dusted. But what's your thoughts?
Well, hopefully our producer Richard is watching social media. I think he'll be cleared.
Yeah.
I didn't look at that and think a bump, and then I looked at it many different times. If you're going to bump, you're not going to actually let your shoulder and arm sort of go limp. It was just the velocity that he comes in at.
Yeah. Okay, so I agree with everything you're saying. It wasn't a bump, so we've taken the bump out of the game.
Incidental contact.
Yeah, which...
It wasn't a reportable offence, I don't think.
Don't think so? Okay.
So did you look at that and think that's a reportable offence?
No, I looked at the reaction and went, okay, because I'm conditioned now to looking at the reaction.
Yeah.
Again, and we'll talk about this now about Darcy more, but the unintended consequence of telling people that there's a duty of care coming the other way is that people are sticking their head out like turtles. I could see Darcy 3 steps before the collision, and I'm watching the game in the box, and I look up and I know there's only 5 seconds left in the half, and I'm just saying, mate, just stand. So my point to you on Kozzie as well is, and I saw this a number of times over the weekend, that's what jogged my memory. So I saw a lot of players running up and doing almost the basketball pose.
Yep.
Okay? But I saw Darcy not do that and get cleaned up. And there was only a split second in it, but he was wide open to it. I don't know what's going to happen other than both players connecting. And then I saw Kozzie's where, again, are you conditioned that if you don't get to the ball first that you've got to now block or tackle but certainly not make any other contact?
Yeah.
In other words, what we were always taught, and that is to hit the ball at full speed, is now no longer applicable in our game. Discuss.
And, well, we've discussed this many a times. Don't put your head where your ass belongs. And now if
Darcy Moore puts his ass... If Darcy Moore had have gone for that the way we did for 130 years, he would have got 4 weeks.
No, I actually think if O'Shane Mullen had correct...
Yeah.
Like, even though if you go back and have a look, O'Shane Mullen's technique, his was better.
Yeah.
But if his was actually proper, he would have knocked Darcy Moore into next week.
But that's my point, is that in the old days...
But if they both had correct technique, you know what would have happened? They would have just gone...
That's the argument.
Like that.
So instead of me having to worry about protecting you, if you protect yourself and I protect myself, we're protecting each other at the same time.
Correct.
That's the point. If you come through with lift your elbow, you get rubbed out for 10 weeks. You know, match it up with vilification. You know, but just do that. If you're going to, I'm not bad. I don't worry about that so much. If you deliberately transgress what we're trying to stamp out of the game, whether it's racial vilification, religious or sexual or anything else like that, if that's what we've decided we're going to stand on, then bang. But it's the same with the bumps. But I just think that it's almost schoolyard. Yeah.
Well, we've said for years the head is sacrosanct, so players are smart enough to realise, well, if I go in like this, even if I get that one, it's a free kick.
Yeah.
And so there's actually no benefit for training players to have correct technique.
Just with that.
Because if you actually have correct technique, and everybody else is now in the mind to think, well, I can stay open. As soon as someone comes in with correct technique, it's actually no longer correct. I know it's a big contradiction, but like I'm talking, O'Shane Mullen's technique wasn't perfect, but it was closer to what we're used to because he sort of shifted his body. But if O'Shane Mullen actually stood there and turned his back, body, he would have smashed Darcy Moore.
Yeah, but if Darcy Moore had
correct technique,
gone in for the ball,
well, they would have just banged.
That would have been it.
Butts.
Yeah, and would have been play on.
Yep.
Anyway, okay.
But I don't know what the solution is.
Well, the solution is to go back to protecting yourself and allowing the bump, not the shirt front.
No.
Okay, so that's a different thing. Not using it to kill somebody, but using being able to turn your body. I had these discussions with our women's team at Collingwood forever. I said, what are you doing? And they had, no, we must keep our head over the ball, which was Robert Walls's great line, okay? Keep your head over the ball. And I said, the Darryl Bulldog, who was the best ball player probably we've ever seen, or one of the best, and he said, never stick your head where you can stick your ass. Yeah. And again, so they had no idea, they had no concept of that. In fact, it was exactly the opposite of what the AFL are trying to achieve. Their reckless abandon of their personal safety to show that they were courageous was completely mitigating against what the AFL was trying to achieve.
So it's difficult. I know we're on a podcast, so some people are listening, but the ones who are watching, again, we love using props. What I always avoided was having my hands extended out in front of me. So it's almost like your chin starts to go up because obviously now your neck's exposed and you're not in a strong position. It was always almost underneath and in between your legs was a really good spot because you're very strong there. So if someone tackled you, you're almost like tense.
And if someone comes from the side, you've then got all that side over there. You point to where I'm pointing, over there, to run, turn, handball, kick, whatever.
It's almost like
protect yourself.
Remember the old footy cards where you either got the over-exaggerated balk or the players were doing that one, so all their foot position is there and you're slightly off-centre. You're not square. We're back to the cricket terms. Lots of trouble if you're a batsman if you're front on.
Yep. Side on.
The side on, you're a bit better.
So using the Darcy Moore one as an example.
I know some of it's unavoidable with the speed of the game, but you want to just be a little bit protected.
So both of those players, Mullins and Moore, had they both done what we were taught from the last 130 odd years, where you put one foot to the side to get in the brace position and to take the ball, they would have been right.
Yep.
But if you run into a contest with your head hanging out, there's every chance you're going to
And people, we're not blaming Darcy Moore.
No, we're not blaming. No, Darcy Moore did exactly what is the way it's taught these days.
Correct. But we want to look after Darcy as well.
No, totally.
Yeah, I don't want him seeing missing footy.
Oh, mate, no one more than me. Pardon the pun. There you go. All right.
Ed, I want to ask you on this one because this is you've been big on the anti-taunting rule.
Yeah.
Levi Ashcroft, he receives a free kick. He lowered his body, which was he managed to get that free kick in the forward line, went back, kicked the goal, went right up to Blues players and received another after some udgy-budgy push and shove.
Yeah. Well, as soon as he went up, it should have been a free kick to Carlton out of the centre. And then none of that would have happened. Just get out of the game. What do we need that rubbish for?
So you just, as soon as he gets near them, they're like, hey,
kick your goal, go back and play football. That's what we want. We don't want bullying. We've got enough bullying in society as it is. I just get sick of watching it, to be honest. It's annoying, and because that's what happens. Yeah, it's the schoolyard bully going up and intimidating somebody, and they're compelled to come back. Then you get a free kick against you. And everyone goes, ha ha, I beat the system. I gamed the system, which is that close to cheating. Okay? That's what gamesmanship is. No, I don't mind. I'm not having a go at Ashcroft there either, because if you can get it, you can get it. But the umpires should have a look at it and go, no. Free kick against. You kick the goal, back that way. No. Sort it out in one day. Now, I mean, you've got rugby league. Sorry, rugby league do it, but you've got gridiron as well. The toughest, hardest games there are. Rugby union. Umpire, the referee goes, come over here. You turn over and he just tells you what's going on. Why do we have this? Where's this petulance come in? I hate it because in the old days, you'd fix him up. You'd wait and get his time would come in a game and you get him. You can't do that anymore. So it's all at the narc. Actually, it's a skill now to be a narc in AFL football. And as I said, that's not having to go at Levi Ashcroft. He just happens to be that person.
That example.
There's 50 examples every weekend. What do you reckon? Do you reckon you should be able to?
No, I don't think you should. But like you said, there's opportunities, as you said, to game the system by doing it.
Yeah.
Some would say it's, what's the use the Australian cricket term, the mental disintegration that you're trying to impose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to, I guess, gamesmanship or...
Yeah, but at least in cricket, you've got a ball in your hand at the other end and a bat in your hand if you're in. You can do something about it.
Yep.
Ours is just, it's all the things I hate. It's everything I hate about. It's the antithesis of everything I love about football. Let me go that way. And I love in football that no matter how big you are or whatever, your time comes to go and you go hard, you play fair and you win the day. And sometimes you've got to cop one for your team and other times you dish it out. And that's fair enough. But... yeah, I just don't like that. I think we've taken out some of the hard physical parts of the game, which I'm disappointed in. I think we've taken out some violence out of the game, lots of violence out of the game, which I think is wonderful to get that out of the game. King hits and all that sort of stuff was just horrible. But this one now we've sort of gone the other way. We're letting the,
Ooh, smart, Alex.
Yeah, I'm looking for a word. Yeah. To get away with it. I just don't like it. Yeah. And a free kick in front of goal. Yeah. Maybe in that situation, give the free kick out of the centre. It's just too big a penalty. Or just, as I said, have an anti-taunting rule. Play the game. Right. Speaking of taunting, GWS's banner. Are you still associated with this mob?
This mob? No, I'm not associated with the Giants.
Essendon strengths, nothing. Weaknesses, 7,916 days.
Since they won a final,
yeah,
of course.
So it
was Brad Scott's response. He said, desperate for relevance, but he does go on and make further comments. I don't mind Brad Scott saying that.
What, is there a problem with Brad Scott saying something?
Yeah, there's people who are going, well, why is Brad Scott reacting to the banners? I actually didn't mind it. I liked it. Mate, if you're going to sledge me, I'm going to sledge you.
Mate, he said it with half a smile on his face. He should have come out and really given it to him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a deliberate kick right in the nuts if you're an Essendon supporter or the Essendon Football Club. I mean, you'd be sitting there, if I was Essendon supporters, I'd be going, how much money do you reckon we've paid for this mob to put in the competition? We've been out of business, right, for this, all these other reasons, but we have absolutely supported you to the nth degree, and this is what you... You know where I reckon that could have worked? If that had been a cheer squad banner, right, behind the goals, that's funny. That's somebody at the game. No, it's a different thing.
The banner was good, and Brad Scott's...
The banner to run through is a club statement.
Yeah, which is fine, and so is Brad Scott's response.
And I like the fact that GWS have been cheeky. I used to write the banners at Collingwood sometimes.
That is why all the spelling mistakes is in.
No, when it was sometimes because it was pointed. It was political. Okay, so we did.
Yeah, I actually don't see any issue on either side. And for people who thought, Brad Scott shouldn't worry, he was asked the question.
No.
So he answered the question.
Brad should have been into it. Should have been. I mean, he should have. He should have got his players out and pointed at it before if they ran out first. They should have run over. Essendon should have done. They should have run through it.
That would have been fun.
Well, but that's where it's at. There's too much Captain Nice Guy routine. I'd have seen that. I'd been going off my head. Do you agree or not? Or have I lost my mind? But I watched Celtic Rangers last night. There was no mucking around there.
No, I just don't get why it's actually even an issue.
Well, as I said, that's what if I'd have been a bomber for the day and I was up there and I saw that, I'd have run through it.
GWS, as they've got their shtick with their banners and social media, and it's great and
that's
fun.
Good. You don't have to. That's your stick. And here's my stick. Whack.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I like Brad Scott's response.
I love the fact that GWS do it.
I'm with you.
Hey, if you get away with it, it's like this flopping business. I like a bit of retaliation in these situations.
No. Well done, Brad Scott.
Yep.
We're in vigorous agreement.
I'm disappointed Brad didn't run through it, set fire to it or do something. Do you want to go to...
Collingwood's handling of Pendles?
The second most boring subject.
Correct. I'm with you on this.
With this.
Do you know... There's someone who I sit across from each Monday and during the week. It says you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Collingwood are walking and chewing gum at the same time.
Yep.
He is 38 years of age. We've seen a number of players who are close to that age who come off the back of short breaks, do hamstring injuries or their soft tissue injuries, and it's in the best interest for Collingwood. Now, people saying that, well, it could have cost some games. You could actually cost yourself more games if you don't manage him through.
Let's go back to the first thing I said, which was totally unrelated to this, but now tied together. I thought both Collingwood and Hawthorn were fatigued on the weekend. You have a look at what happened in the last quarter or the last quarter and a half in both games. They were out on their feet. So you reckon after 6 days you whack Scott Pendlebury? They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
and the other one that I heard was, and Kane Corns was, as usual. I mean, Kane does, he loves, raining on the parade. But a good point made. Okay, so he's coming from a different point, so I'm not having a go at him as much as I just don't think it makes any sense. But people said Collingwood should have rested Pendlebury in the last quarter of Anzac Day. Okay? Instead, Scott Pendlebury, 2 games out from breaking the record, played one of the all-time great games on a day where there was nothing really to celebrate on the Anzac Day other than, Collingwood had a good day and Essendon had a bad day and it was a flogging. I walked away from that and watched the Collingwood crowd all bowing, him winning the Anzac Day medal, and it was one of the great memories I'll have of my time watching the Collingwood Football Club. It was so special. Again, why do we have all these people who think they're accountants at the ATO trying to run the fun and the mystique of the game, the romance of the game? Would I have rather he stayed on and win his 4th Anzac Day medal and miss playing against Hawthorn every day of the week? Am I disappointed he's not out there against Sydney this week? Yeah, I am, but I don't think he's physically right to do so, right? And am I going to go and enjoy in a season where Collingwood's mid-table, right? Let's be honest. They're mid, hopefully a bit higher, and if all goes well, they put it together end of the season. But they're sort of between, I don't know, 6th and 12th.
Yep.
Right? But am I looking forward to going to see Collingwood and West Coast, a game that would get 45,000 people on its best day at the moment?
Collingwood would never get 45.
No, well, 45 if everyone stays away. But let's call it 50, right? 50,000. Don't forget West Coast. Granted, it was Melbourne. Granted, it was at Marvel. And granted, it was Mother's Day. I think got 7,000 in on the weekend. Okay? But if ever you're going to have a long weekend, that would be the one. We're going to get 90,000 Collingwood fanatics bringing their kids and their grandkids and wheeling mum and granddad and everyone out of the nursing home to go there as families to watch this moment in time. And it's going to be spectacular.
Yep.
Now, I love the black and white jumper more than I've fought for it, okay? Pretty hard. The gold number, I'm neither here nor there on it, but it's something special on a major occasion. You know what? I'll go with Craig Kelly, who's been pretty good at doing these things over the years, and support it. Because you know what? I just want to go there feeling so good. I don't want to listen to the radio build up to it, Jimmy. So when you're on 3AW or whatever it is, can you just stop it? Have all the conversation. We've had it now. Now let's have 2 weeks of build up to Scott Pendlebury breaking the all-time record.
No,
please.
I think you can satisfy the 3 things here. You can do what's good for Collingwood, do what's good for Scott Pendlebury, and you can do what's good for the story.
Yeah, and good for football.
Oh, there you go.
All that, and guess who's got it all in hand?
Football. There you
Collingwood,
go. Full story.
The Collingwood Football Club seem to have they're working well. Now, would I love to see him this week because Moore's out? Another captain out there? Yeah. Would he be right in that style of game up in Sydney? Probably not.
Yeah, well, you run, just from a physical point of view, the plan was from the start. You run the risk of, what if he picks up a soft tissue injury and then you're missing 3-4 plus weeks?
But, mate, this is the point, though. Everyone says clubs have got to have a plan and stick to it. Then everyone in the media, which is our job, throws rocks at that plan, okay? And people get sacked, and then I mean, that was the Richmond plan for years. They got 3 years into a 5-year plan for 30 years until they finally got somebody like Brennan Gale and said, no, this is going to be the plan. And who would have thought his long-term plan, his stretch plan for 3 premierships and 100,000 members magically appeared?
Yep. Worked well for Brendan Gale.
Worked well for Brendan Gale. This will work well for Scott Pendlebury. Do you reckon Scott Pendlebury owes anybody anything in football?
No.
Do you reckon he owes? Do you reckon that the last fortnight has put into anyone's mind that he has been selfish in his attitude to his devotion and service to the Collingwood Football Club?
I don't think I'd have ever.
Have you ever heard of any time in Scott Pendlebury's career where he was coming out of contract? Ever?
Only in recent times because when you get to that age.
Well, it's only he's going to have one or two, whatever. Yeah. But I was there. Always done. When he could have scun the club, he did it in an elegant manner, did it so that we could go and get other players. He's played for unders, I reckon, the last few years. He has been the absolute servant to the Collingwood Football Club on and off the field. So for anybody, if anybody intimates that it's some sort of selfish aspect,
you're going to fight?
Cards will be marked. Sue them. Bartel Medal, Jamal Medal first.
Yeah, Jamal was
He's
good.
gone Bailey Smith.
Yes.
3 votes.
Lockie Neal, 2, and Marcus Bontempelli.
Right. Who did you go?
There were some good ones from Thursday with the Wiz and Sarong. Butters was good, and Sanders. That was a cracking game, Port Adelaide versus the Bulldogs.
Wasn't it?
Jake Bowie is very good for the Ds. Max Holmes, Toby Green, Ollie Henry. Brady Hoff. He's a positive sign for the West Coast Eagles. I'm a big fan of the Hoff. You can't hassle the Hoff. Did a tagging role on Kozzie Pickett.
Yeah.
And Big Miller there for the Tiggies.
Yep.
Jack Gunson just keeps going on. Hopefully, that was super precaution with the moon boot. Fast Fred from Fremantle. Lockie Neal again. Leicester just keeps rolling on one-year deals. JVR. Big Harry. Now, they've been screaming out for Harry to play a bit of ruck.
Yeah.
And it actually released him.
Harry McKay.
Yes, and
Heaney's good.
Heaney's good. The Lizard, LDU, Roberts, Dawson, Callahan, a host of others. The 3 voters.
Who's the 3?
Luke Jackson. Big action Jackson.
He's the man, isn't he?
He was fantastic.
A unicorn.
Marcus Bontempelli on one leg in the last 3 weeks has
I'm
been
voting for
stupidly
Marcus
good.
Bontempelli on Tuesday night for the impact player of the round.
You could have picked him for the last 2 weeks.
I know, when we didn't.
You know when they strap up your leg,
was-
Marcus, you're supposed to be a lesser player.
He has. That's what I like. That's the old-fashioned. Maybe he's doing Charlie Sutton's routine. You know what Charlie Sutton did in the '54 grand final? He had a
Taped
bad-
up the other one.
wrapped up the other leg. They'll come after this one.
Yeah, that old chestnut.
Yeah, shop early and shop often is what Charlie said too.
Shop early to avoid the rush.
Yeah, let me get in there.
Bailey Smith, 40 touches. He just does not stop running. And Isaac Rankin had his best midfield game for quite some time.
That's
for the
good to
Crows.
see Isaac get himself back.
With leaderboard, Naz, because he didn't play, remains on 10 votes. Lockie Neal comes up on 10. Kozzie on 12. Nick Dacos on 17. And Marcus Bontempelli, 18.
He's been good, the Bont, no doubt. All right. Anything you want to send to us, Eddie and Jimmy at Tapped Media? Hello.
We've got a new one.
Got a new Tapped Media, TAPT. Eddie and Jimmy at tappedmedia.com.au. Follow us on Instagram. Just search for Eddie and Jimmy, and we'll answer all your questions on Wednesday. Fascinating discussion, Jim. I love what you had to say about the talent pathways, and the fact that you're up to your neck in it as well means that maybe somebody should tap you and get you involved.
I'm very happy to help.
Yeah.
Very happy to help.
Good. That's what we need. And you don't necessarily have skin in the game, which is what we need.
That's it.
Good man. All right. Talk to you Wednesday.
Yeah.